This episode is sponsored by Agent CRM. If you're in sales and tired of paying 3, 4, or 5 different companies for your email, CRM, funnels, phone, follow-up automation, check out Agent CRM. It's an all-in-one tool that combines all that you need to reach out, nurture, and close your clients. They've got weekly support calls so you can get up and running in no time. Get a free 14-day trial by going to the link below in the show notes. Hey everyone, this is Dan with the Intentional Entrepreneur Podcast. I have Austin LaRoche, who is the CEO of ATAK Interactive and creator of the M2, which stands for Marketing to Sales Framework, a B2B growth system that synchronizes strategy and execution in a simple and pragmatic plan. He's based at Pasadena, California, and ATAK Interactive is a full-service marketing agency with employees and clients across the globe. He's an engaged entrepreneur with a passion for helping other businesses owners see their vision come to light. His company motto is strength and structure, where he and his team watch their clients go from random acts of marketing into an organized operation that can measure and optimize success at each stage of their customer journey. I do want to welcome to the show, Austin LaRoche.
Dan, thanks so much for having me.
My pleasure. I'm very excited to talk to you about marketing systems and processes. But before we kind of get into all of that, can you share a little bit about your journey and how you got to where you're today?
Absolutely. Now, I've been known to go way too long on this question, so I'm going to do my best to kind of bring it into fruition. My journey in marketing got started in 2008. I was in grad school and was offered an internship in something called social media at the Chicago Tribune, and I learned all sorts of different tactics there. It was much different landscape way back when. But that's kind of where I started recognizing that businesses were going to be able to utilize these new communication tools. And so I started my own agency in 2009, which was acquired by ATAK Interactive in 2014. Our company, when we became a full service agency, we were able to really get a knack for helping companies grow in the B2B space, utilizing strategy, marketing, development, design. And, we've really been able to grow year over year. We've become big time adopters in marketing technology, particularly with marketing automation and CRMs and sales. We're a big HubSpot partner. We've also done a lot of work with Salesforce, Zoho, Zendesk, and other revenue operation software, which is definitely where our business continues to evolve to. Along that journey, I recognize that there are a lot of companies are like, all right, well, we need to invest in marketing. And they go, okay, how do we do that? It's like, I don't know. What is our competitor doing? Well, they just had this big fancy post for International Women's Day on LinkedIn. Maybe we should do that. Okay, well, let's do that. All right. Well, we did that. Did we get any leads from that? All right, we need to scale it back, guys. Now let's start talking about what we're really trying to do. And so that's the type of conversations we kept finding ourselves in, and we realized that we really not only need to help companies with their marketing, but really their marketing structure and being able to understand what this arm of a business is supposed to be doing and how we measure it to actually get the results to the point of sale.
Yeah. So you implement the M2 framework, which is marketing to sales. Can you tell us a little bit about that, what that is, and how it's worked out for some of the clients you've implemented this framework to?
Yeah. So the M2S framework is it's really simple. So we help people first simplify their brand, right? I know branding agencies that you can give a lot of money to for, great exercises. Like if your brand was a car, what kind of car would it be? We don't really do that. We focus very much on understanding your vision, simple comms, what your value proposition is, and, what the social proof is that backs up your claims of why you're so great. And then from there, we really understand what data is important to your growth. And then we build out your buyer personas or ICP, depending on what type of company you are, segmenting your audience based on, the different types of customers or business lines that you're operating. And once we get all that out of the way, we just know, okay, now we know where we want to go, what we want to say, the data that we're going to track to measure how good we're doing and who we're going to go out and talk to. Let's put
Mm-hmm.
this into a tactical process. And
Mm-hmm.
so
Mm-hmm.
this is where, so let's put this through your prism, right, Dan? So
Okay.
you're an attorney, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So say you come to me and you say, Austin, all right, here's good news. I've got all that stuff that you just talked about. Now, how are we really going to market? What are we going to do? And I'll say, Dan,
Mm-hmm.
here's what we're going to do. We're going to break this into four quadrants. Okay. How are we
Mm-hmm.
going to attract prospects? How are we going to
Mm-hmm.
convert those prospects to opportunities? How are we going to
Mm-hmm.
close those opportunities into customers? And how are we going to delight those customers? And so we're going to sit down, you and I, and we're going to say, okay, let's talk about how we're going to attract prospects, because that's, we got to get them in the funnel, right? We got to get people to know who we are. We got to get them to the website. We've got to be able to be introduced to them. So what are we going to do? And we dive into all the different ways that we can do this. Okay, do we want to invest in SEO? If so, what kind of keywords do we want to go after? Do we want to be doing paid search? Okay, we can do some paid search, but I think we all know those attorney terms are quite expensive. I don't know if you're ready for that investment. We have that conversation, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
then we talk about the different referral networks, because I know that's also very, very popular for lawyers. And so we go through all of these things and we identify, okay, what are the best ways to go after this?
Mm-hmm.
What kind of budget would we need to be considering if we want to take each of these
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
tactics? And then what kind of
Yeah.
obstacles exist? We just said we want to bring them
Mm-hmm.
to a landing page. Do we have that landing page? Has that even been
Mm-hmm.
developed?
Mm-hmm.
And so we identify the obstacles and we put that over on the side. All right. And then we
Mm-hmm.
go through the convert stage, right?
Yeah.
That's where we bring in that social proof we were talking about, right? So
Mm-hmm.
people
Mm-hmm.
come to our website or we start talking and they kind of like what we have to say, but how do we actually, convert them into a real
Mm-hmm.
opportunity? How do we persuade them to continue that conversation? And a lot of times
Mm-hmm.
it's really showcasing that you've helped people who've been in their shoes before, who are like, I don't
Mm-hmm.
know what kind of marketing I want to do. I just know I need
Mm-hmm.
to do some marketing to be able to
Right.
invest in that and be able to get that growth, right? And then
Yeah. Yeah.
the close phase, which is a lot of times bringing in that technology, the CRM, the marketing automation, recognizing what is our
Mm-hmm.
process, what does our pipeline look like? If somebody is here, what message do we give them? If they're here, what do they
Mm-hmm.
need to hear? And then, of course, delighting customers, which we all know, delivering an ultimate customer experience is just step one. We always want to be able to educate our customers so that they learn the latest and greatest. And once we build that out, right? Once we build that out, now we have our plan, right? Which is great.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Marketing plan. Now we know exactly what we're going to do month over month. Fantastic. One quick little step before we execute on that. We've also written all these obstacles over here because we've
Mm-hmm.
mapped out exactly how we want to, but there's a gap, right?
Mm-hmm.
Creating the
Mm-hmm.
strategy that you want and executing that strategy, there's always going to be a gap because
Mm-hmm.
you have those implementation needs, and they're typically
Mm-hmm.
content or
Mm-hmm.
technology
Mm-hmm.
resources. These
Mm-hmm.
are the typical things standing between what you want to be doing and what you are doing. And so we go in, we take care of all of those, we build all the foundations for that, and then we hit the ground running. We got our marketing plan, and month over month we're optimizing all of our campaigns. We're shifting budget based on where the data is telling us we're getting the results, and we're running a really organized marketing process, because if this is what we're doing, then we can see why we're doing everything and the result of every dollar that we're spending, which I think most business owners want, right?
Yeah. Yeah. You mentioned ICP, which I think it stands for Ideal Customer Profile. Can you talk a little bit about that process? Because I'm sure you get when your clients come to you and you guys go through this particular exercise. Well, I got this client that does this, and I got this client that does this. I want any client that can afford to pay my my fees. Tell us about a little bit about what you do with your clients about really identifying that ideal client profile, ideal customer profile, so that you can have those conversations that's already inside their head and really just getting into their mind.
Well, I think one of the things that we're always looking for is how we can narrow down the focus. And one of the most common things people always throw out is industry. And some people are really good in certain industries and niches, but some people, kind of like you were hinting at, are a little more industry agnostic. Okay. So at that point, what do we start trying to narrow down? How are we going to segment each type of customer? One of the things I always ask my customers is, can you look inward? talk to me about your best customer. Like, why do you love them and why do they love you? Right? What is this? What talk to me about this relationship? And through that, we typically find things that come out, whether it's something on the like a shared psychographic, like, this guy is a total go-giver and he just believes in helping, and and he really wants to make sure that he can work with other companies that are more focused on being able to help as opposed to just, sell, sell, sell. Or we try and narrow down technology, right? Like we want to be helping people who are utilizing this technology because we know it's going to help them reach their goals. So we try and find those areas where we can narrow that down, because you're right, like, and especially in the beginning, right? Every company, you're like, who's your target customer? Anybody who will pay us, absolutely, particularly on time. They could do it on time, double. Yeah, I'm twice as interested. But what you know as you start growing and start kind of getting some of those great customers, I think the answers start kind of come more within than externally. But I do think that one of the great things is that you always have the opportunity to recognize what type of customer you want versus type of customer that you'll accept. Right? Nobody's ever said when you're filling out an ICP, well, if you've got 90% of your current client roster doesn't fit this profile, you should fire them. Nobody's saying that. But what they are saying is that once you've built this out, now why don't we start creating that whole attract, convert, close, delight process specific to this person, this persona, this ICP. So that's how I would attack a situation.
Yeah. Um, let's switch gears a little bit and talk about measuring return on investment.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's easier, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, easier to measure this if you're doing paid ads, right? Because you can measure how many people clicked it, and how many people download your leading magnet, and how many people from there booked an appointment with you, and how many people from there booked, you closed. I think it's more challenging for referral based marketing, where you kind of, you got to spend a little bit of time, whether it's BNI or even when one on one with, uh, bankers or CPAs or, and all that. So, how, in those particular situations where it's harder to measure, what are some strategies can you use to actually measure your return on investment on referral based leads and clients?
That's a great question, because you're right. I always joke that marketing is this beautiful combination of art and science, and sometimes the science sticks out a little bit more, sometimes the art sticks out a little bit more. And when it comes to paid ads, just like you said, it's straight science. Like, it's the most
Mm-hmm.
tangible way. I paid X, I got this much in return. Now, particularly on the referral question, I think that's there's certainly different strategies. So one is networks, right? If you're deciding to go into a network, I know in the Southern California area, where I believe you and I both are, uh, Provisors is really big for attorneys. High Rise is another professional network. I'm a member of EO, which isn't really a networking type of group, but I have made enough connections where I can look into that and say, well, I spend X amount here every year, and then based on referrals and things that came in, let me measure that, measure the revenue based on the people that I was introduced to, and then I can garner that ROI from there. I think in general, the more communities that you're a part of in which you are providing value, whether you're paying to be a part of those or not, I think you typically will see that return. And if you're not necessarily paying for your to be in that community, it's just something that you can be a part of. I would track your time, because especially if you at least can calculate some way of your hourly rate. Maybe you take your salary and divide it 52 weeks and 40, whatever calculation you need. You should always know your hourly rate, and then see how much time you invested in that relationship, be able to multiply that by hours. And sometimes it's not an exact science. If you're meeting someone, you're like, I think that they'll one day be a good referral source. You're not like, wait a minute, were we at lunch for an hour and 15 minutes, or was it just 57 minutes? Sometimes, like, I think it was like an hour, and you just gotta have to guesstimate. But I think that's a strategy that you can utilize is really understanding what the value of your time is, and
Hmm.
then try to implement that into some sort of formula that it makes it clear where you've invested your time and how much revenue you've got in back, and as well as profit off of those engagements.
Yeah. Going back to executing the plan and making changes, how important is it to understand is not like it's not run code rotisserie, right? You don't set it and forget it, right? You let it run for a month, look at the data, see what changes you need to make, and then even from there, it's every month, it's tweaking and tweaking. Can you explain kind of or share more about the importance of constantly looking at the numbers and tweaking your process?
Absolutely. I often quote the philosopher Mike Tyson when I say that everybody's got a plan until they've been punched in the mouth, right? Uh, and and one of the cool things about digital marketing in this day and age is, and one of the reasons why we in the beginning try to get people to invest in understanding their data set, is that any campaign that we run in which we can get data, over time the data is going to tell us what to do. Okay, that's one of the reasons why we limit the amount of brand work we want to do in the beginning. Going back to an AdWords example, a Google Ads example, right? We can pay someone a bunch of billable hours to come up with our message, or we can throw 10, 20 different messages into our campaigns, and we can start measuring which ones are getting the most clicks, or getting the most conversions. And so, what I would say with that is you're always going to want to put yourself in a position where the data is going to tell you when to pivot, because and
Mm-hmm.
pivot's a strong word. I don't even know pivot.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
optimize is probably
yeah,
a safer way of saying it. But if
yeah, yeah.
and that's one of the things we always joke about at our agency, is like, we are so much more goal focused than scope focused. If we're going to do B2B lead
Mm-hmm.
generation, I want to know how many leads that you want. And I'm going to start
Mm-hmm.
4 or 5 different tactics. We're going to
Mm-hmm.
diversify those tactics. We're going to let some campaigns run. We're going to accumulate data, and then we're going to make
Mm-hmm.
smart decisions based off how our target market is engaging with the content and the what we're putting out. So
Mm-hmm.
I definitely think that it's I have this saying, optimization is eternal. It's never
Mm-hmm.
ever always working. And I feel like I've worked with enough companies to know that it can just be a roller coaster. It's like one day
Mm-hmm.
everything
Mm-hmm.
is just hitting, and it's like lead after
Mm-hmm.
lead's coming, and you're like, my gosh, this campaign's on fire. And
Yeah.
then all of a sudden it's kind of gets a little slower, and then you're like, what just happened? Like, we didn't make any changes. And it's like, well,
Mm-hmm.
maybe now you should, right? So
Yeah, yeah,
that's just kind of the nature of digital marketing.
yeah. You mentioned very, very briefly early on, and I want to tie it into what I've been listening to a lot lately, which is Dan Kennedy. And if you're familiar with him, his thing is magnetic marketing, where it's like leads are attracted to you,
Mm-hmm.
right? Rather than you kind of just trying to find them in the opposite direction. Um, can you share a little bit about like how much the game changes for B2B companies where leads come to you say, hey, I want your product, I want your service, rather than hey, calling up, cold calling, whatever, and says, are you interested in buying?
Can I make an observation before I get into what the difference is going to look like?
Yeah.
I think the barrier to entry to that magnetic marketing is the investment that it takes, not just to create content, but to really build relationships and spend the time to absorb other people's content, comment on what they're doing, and really, because anybody can go create great content in a silo, but if they're not building that great content, sharing it with their network, and the network's not responding to it, they're not sharing it, they're not engaging with it, then it's just, maybe it's not really great content. And getting there takes a long time. I way back when I was in grad school, and I looked at the early days of the bloggers, right? And they had this thing called the Technorati Top 100. And I went through that, and I did a independent study diagnosing why were those 100 blogs, what were they? And about 75% of them at the time, now everything's like completely corporate or whatnot. This was the mid 2000s. They were the people who just stuck with it. They were the people who'd been doing it so long. It took years, years. I heard recently that when it comes to people who have podcasts, the average is 20 episodes and then people quit, right? And so it's hard and it takes a long time. And that is why I feel like people don't put that time in for the magnetic marketing. Now, to answer your question, once they get there, yeah, I mean it's much nicer to be able to choose which leads you want to work with as opposed to hope that the leads are coming in, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
that point, if you've done a lot of the right foundational work and you know the type of people that you want to work with, you can be a little bit more selective. You can really, at that point, architect what you want your company and the type of people you want to work with to look like. So it's a massive change, but it's one that's not given, right? And so,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
because we all want to believe that if we really put our time into it, we could be Tim Ferriss, right? Most people
Yeah.
can't. And I don't mean that in a mean way, but most people can figure out a couple of their value propositions, put together a good landing page, and run Google Ads. So that's why when you're really good at that magnetic marketing and you can get those followers, it is really, really powerful, but it takes a lot of time and not everyone can do it. And beyond that, your confidence just keeps getting like knocked along the way, especially in the beginning, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, oh
Yeah.
man, I put this together. I had this great video. Oh my gosh, how many people watched it? Okay, 3, and I know one of them was my mom. Great,
Oh,
awesome.
yeah.
Uh, and so and it's just you got to keep going and keep going and keep
Yep.
going. And
Yep.
maybe at
Yep.
some point, if you've been doing it for 10 years and you're not getting any traction, then you might want to just settle on Google Ads at that point. It might
Yeah.
just not happen.
Yeah. Um, you talked briefly earlier about International Women's Day, post and um, I want to ask you, you know, how can companies be more intentional in their marketing rather than just like, all right, spray and pray, right? What can they do to be more mindful and intentional about how they're spending their marketing dollars and executing on their marketing?
I think it's a combination of really understanding who your company is and their core values, along with where all of your marketing activity needs to go in that whole attract, convert, close, delight bucket, right? Because if I made the joke about the International Women's Day. I've been dealing with social media now for 16 years. So I've seen every fake social media day known to man. I've seen every competitor find a new day that I didn't know and have a client report me for not knowing about it and having a post
Mhm.
ready. Um, so I am admittedly over that part of marketing. But I think anything when it comes to that idea of delight, right? I always look at that as like the perfect opportunity to highlight your team, your people, to be able to take something like it's it's like I've worked with enough companies where like, hey, we got to get that Happy Thanksgiving newsletter out. Okay, what is it going to do? All right, we're going to put a turkey graphic and we're going to say we're grateful for you. Have a happy Thanksgiving. That's what we're doing for marketing, right? Okay, well, where does that fit? I mean, you could say that's part of that delight the customer, but who's getting that on? Who's getting that generic email on Thursday morning? Go, oh man, I'm so glad we work with these guys. Great turkey graphic. Um, I think when people do that right, they go the extra length. Right? It's dear so and so. I'm really thankful for your business. We've now been working together for X amount of years. And I remember back when we started how we had this challenge and we've come this far. And I'm so glad you continue to work with us and you believe in us. I'm really, really grateful for our relationship. I hope you and your family have an awesome day. Personal email. Boom. That's intentional marketing. Okay. That's doing it the right way. That's doing it in a way that actually matters. That's not checking boxes and saying, we got that Thanksgiving email out. That's going, you know what? if this is a day of gratitude for us and we believe it and we want to make sure we express that to our customers, then this is what we're going to send.
I'm gonna challenge you on this because I actually agree
Good.
with that. How do you scale that across many clients, right? And how do you be personal across many clients without spending, a week in front of the computer typing emails?
Great question. So, I have personalized tokens and marketing technology. Let's say you use a tool like HubSpot. You can create a message that looks like it's a one-on-one message. You just need to make sure you have the right data and all of your contact records. You know when you started working with them, the name of their company. Uh, as well as obviously you would identify their name and you figure out what those components are so that you can personalize it as best as possible. But like you said, you know, it it should not be someone's job, at the beginning of November. All right, we got to start scheduling all those our thousands and
Right.
thousands of emails. But there is a way to personalize that if you're keeping good data in your CRM. So I would say if you can keep really strong data in your CRM and know where those different data points can then come into a more universal message, then you'll be able to write that one time, be able to send that, and be able to have that same feeling of, oh wow, okay, they really they really thought about this, because the truth is that they just did it over the years and organizing the data the right way, and then we're able to present it in this hypothetical Thanksgiving email.
Yeah. Digital marketing agency, it's a crowded field, as you know. There's lots of people, um, cold emails, pitching, businesses to hire them. In such a crowded field, what are some questions that clients, business owners could ask those particular agencies that they're not asking so that, they're getting the most out of the marketing agency that they hire?
Yeah, in my next life, I want to just hire marketing agencies for companies. That would be a dream come true. We are a industry of a lot of bad ex boyfriends, and I've had to take over many rough situations. Now,
Hmm.
the first thing that I would say is to really ask the agency how they solved a very specific problem that's similar. Now, you got to give some grace. All right. If you're just because, let's say you're in manufacturing, if this company hasn't worked with manufacturing, but they've worked with, let's say, construction, and they have a similar issue in terms of driving leads, like, okay, so they haven't worked with the same industry, but how did you drive those leads? This is our current challenge with our current marketing agency. Tell me exactly how you've done this differently with another client. If you could, give me their name. Give me their name and as a reference for this exact example you're going to provide. Because the thing is, I mean, we've all have really good customers and we're really friendly with, and those are obviously always going to be the references, just like an employee's references are always going to be people they had positive experiences with. And you know but when I would always question an agency about the impact that they've made that's most similar to my use case, and then try to get the contact on the other side to be able not just confirm that, but talk about what that experience is like, right? Because I think many of us who are in this field, like, we can really build strategy pretty easy. We can identify problems. We can create roadmaps for success. But the ones that I think are really going to be the ones that move the needle for companies are the ones that say, I don't want to just have the right plan. I don't want to have a plan and say we did it and then walk away. I want to go to the point of success. So look for a company who wants to understand what success really looks like and will join you and put their butts on the line to get you there. I have this joke that I say in pitch meetings a lot of, like, you know, the proposition is like, you grow or we go. And so we're going to do everything we can to be your best friend for a really long time and help you grow your business, which sometimes means saying no, which sometimes means saying, yeah, we thought this thing was going to work. It is not going the way we wanted it to. We need to pivot over here. and having a real honest conversation, but always putting your success to the success of the company and the client that you're working for. Find an agency that's willing to do that, because even if they don't succeed, you know that at least they were in it with you, and they were doing everything they could to help you grow, and they had the I don't know if the chutzpah is the right word, but they were willing to go out in the line and say, grade me on if I can go all the way, instead of doing what a lot of people do, which is, oh, we said we were going to do this, we were going to do 10 SEO keywords, so we wrote like 3 blogs a month, and we told you guys we were going to do that, and sorry I didn't get the results you were looking for, and yeah, good luck. Just doesn't work. So, go with the guys who are willing to fight with you to the finish line.
All right. Hey, we're here with Austin LaRoche, creator of the M2 framework. Before we get into the rapid fire portion of the interview, what are some parting thoughts you'd like to share with our B2B listeners who may be looking for a new marketing agency to hire?
I feel like I've been in a few like WhatsApp chats recently where they're like, does anybody have a good SEO guy? And does anybody have this, that? And a lot of people have kind of given up, right? They're like, yeah, let me know when you find them. And I think that if there's one thing I would say is, like, really think about every step along the way. Think about what strategy and building a vision looks like, and being able to get the right partner for that. And maybe it's not the same partner, but really understand what people who can execute a vision look like, and who can understand that, success, it kind of going back to what I was saying, success is holding your hand as you guys cross the finish line of the first goal, moving the goalposts, setting the next goal, and it's about continuing to help you grow month over month, year over year. And I mean, if you can look for a partner or who wants to do that with you, who's not afraid to do that with you, and will run into the fire and isn't afraid. So that's my best advice that I can give.
All right. All right. We are headed into the lightning round. Are you ready?
Yes, I'm actually really excited for this.
Okay, all right. It's all G-rated. Well, unless you make it something else, but
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
no, it's hopefully it's not too much brain busting. But here we go. Who do you look up to?
My mom and my dad, two different reasons. Do you want me
All
to
right.
do I get to expand on it, or
Yeah,
we got to go to the next question?
yeah. Go ahead.
My dad's a grinder. He's the one who taught me the value of hard work and to go. My mom's the thinker. She's the one who made me realize, like, wait, before we just go, let's go with the right strategy. And between the two of them, I've kind of been able to blend my business persona to be able to hit the gas when I need to hit the gas, hit the brakes when I need to hit the brakes, and I can hear them both in my head always at the right time.
All right. What's the best business advice you've ever received?
Oh my gosh. Um, I don't know if it's the best advice, but adopting EOS, the Entrepreneurial Operating System, was the best thing that ever happened for my company. It helped me recognize that I'm very extreme on the visionary side. My business partner is very extreme on the integrator side, and really understanding what that relationship is like, and how we can blend my vision and big big dreams, and his hey, we've got to get this stuff done today mentality to really help ourselves grow year over year has been tremendous. We've been doing it for about 5 years now.
What's your favorite business book?
Favorite business book? Ooh. um I'm kind of in a go giver mood right now. I also like This Is Marketing by Seth Godin, and Grow Bigger is a really fun one about creating categories.
Okay. Are you familiar with the term 3 feet from gold?
No.
Okay, so it's kind of a parable. So the story is, um, there's a prospector. He hears them there's gold in them hills, and so he buys the land, he buys the equipment, digs, doesn't hit any gold. He sells it to the next guy, and that guy only digs 3 feet, and it hits a vein of gold. So my question to you as an entrepreneur, how do you know when to pivot? How do you know when you might be just 3 feet from gold?
Oh my gosh. I think the data typically tells a pretty big story. I think that the 3 feet from gold in our world sometimes can be misconstrued as like something, some big thing. Oh, we could do this and go viral, or something that I don't know necessarily exists. I think that data typically tells us trends, and if we're tracking it week over week or month over month, we are able to recognize, okay, maybe we haven't got as much of, let's say we haven't got as many conversions on a campaign, but man, people are getting more interested and we're seeing a lot of repeat eyeballs. I don't want to give up on that because I'm seeing small indications that this is working, even if we are not quite got the pot of gold yet. So really kind of knowing what those indicators are and being able to measure those with data is the best way, I think, to hopefully know when you're on the verge of something.
The next question is: you lose everything in your business. The only thing you have is your laptop, cell phone, and internet connection. How do you rebuild your business in 30 days?
Oh, whoa, great question. I've lost everything.
Yes, at
Um,
least business wise.
okay. Well, I've lost everything, then it means that I've lost my customers, and they're gone for a reason. So the first thing I'm going to do, because one of our core values, our first one is I'm the problem, I'm the solution. I'm going to recognize, why did I lose those customers? Why did I lose those customers? And I'm going to spend some time and I'm going to think about that. And then I'm going to uh, find the key ones that I feel like I'm going to be able to work with in some capacity again. And I'm going to figure out the best way to approach them. Probably if I'm now at rock bottom, I might have to go in person. Although I only have a handful in the Southern California area. But I need to go and I need to figure out the best way to communicate and a real apology for whatever happened that made that go away, while also letting them know that I've always loved their business, and which and hopefully be able to figure out a way to be able to start at a much smaller scale than we were at before, with the opportunity to earn the trust, to earn more business, to be able to get those results. And I'm in a people business, and a lot of times as we grow and grow, I get more removed from a lot of the people who I used to be really hands on with. And I suppose if everything went away, I'd be required to get more hands on again. So,
What is the best thing you spent $100 or less on that has greatly improved your personal life or your business life?
oh my gosh. All right. I mean, this is rapid fire, and I got to be honest, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So my family were super nice over Christmas, and they gave me all these gifts. But my aunt over Thanksgiving, as we were talking on Black Friday about how we couldn't get the freaking turkey out of our teeth, she showed me these amazing like doctor like toothpick things that I swear to God changed my life after every single meal. It's like I never used to floss, and now I'm like half flossing, half picking after every single meal. I know that's gross. I know that's TMI, but it is rapid fire. And that is the absolute best thing that's happened in my life in the last 6 months. That was under $100 purchase.
All right. The show is purely unadulterated, fact based. All right. Hey, the final question: what is the biggest challenge in your business today?
Oh gosh, can I be a cliche marketer and say AI? I think it's always predicting the future. I always say that really our mission is that we're going to help our customers utilize the latest technology to grow their companies. Because if that's what we do, theoretically, we should never go out of business. And we are now on the verge of a major disruption. And we need to figure out our place in that mission. We need to figure out how we are going to transfer services we already have. So, we've got developers, we've been building websites for 15 years, right? Well, when we started, we were building it for the dentist down the street. Now the dentist down the street goes to Wix, puts 5 things about their company in, hits make me a website, and boom, they have a website. And that's great. But my developers, they can make a lot of things talk together and really at an enterprise level. If your Salesforce and NetSuite need to be talking, guess what? My developers can do that. And that's where we have to focus our energy, because we are not going to compete on the basic development and design in ways that we, built the company on many, many, many years ago. So really recognizing how we can continue to be that middleman between this awesome technology that can help business owners grow and the client, and being able to make sure that we're providing them value is always where my head's at.
All right, here we're with Austin LaRoche, CEO of ATAK Interactive and creator of the M2 framework. Thank you for so much for hanging out with us. Your thoughts and insights were so valuable, and hopefully we. Last thing, if
Nope.
our listeners want to learn more about the M2 framework, or maybe talk to you more about your services, what's the best way to get in contact with you?
Yeah, you could download a copy of the framework at www.atakinteractive.com/strategy. That's atakinteractive.com/strategy. You can also find me on LinkedIn. It's just Austin LaRoche, AustinLaRoche, all one word. So, love to connect with anybody who heard this and has been inspired in any way, shape, or form. So,
All right, awesome. Hey, we'll put those links in the show notes. Thanks again for hanging out with us, and hopefully talking again soon.
awesome. Thanks, Dan.